welcome everybody to the 360 Tour Do-It-Yourself Camera Webinar. This is a part of our Q1 2021 webinar series. And my name is Jason Susklaba. I'm a client success manager for Concept3D. My contact information is there, and I am located right here in the good old beautiful state of Minnesota, where we are getting into spring, and it's a beautiful thing. One thing I want to let you know about before we jump into this webinar is we actually have one more webinar coming up, and that is going to be for advanced category and location settings, which I do really recommend popping into as our platform does change and creating these incredible user experiences with all the different tools that you can utilize within inside of categories and locations, and of course, top bar buttons, global share button, and more. So why don't you go ahead and take a screenshot of that so you can copy down that link to register and register yourself or whomever you would like to have attend that webinar. And we will now move on to the next slide. Where we're at with the agenda. So what we're going to be looking at here today is an overview of media specs, along with camera options, best practices, and a little bit about did you know about the platform. The demo piece is going to be pretty short. It's just going to be showing you some uploading or how to upload panos along with the pano settings and how to create video hotspots. At the end, we will have a live Q&A and a reference sheet. I do have my colleague David Mantleman on this call as well. He will be keeping an eye on the Q&A. So go ahead and place them in there whenever you like throughout so you don't forget, and then we can revisit them at the end, as well as a reference sheet with a couple other links for you to utilize. So moving on, I don't want this to be overwhelming to anybody as we have quite the information here, but what this is really just to show you is what a megapixel is versus pixel. And the reason why I put this on here is because when you go through and review these cameras yourselves, you're going to find that the specs sometimes speak differently based upon whatever camera you're looking at. Some will give a megapixel as information, and some will give pixel resolution as information. So I just wanted to have this available for you so you can see what a 12 megapixel is in relation to a pixel resolution here. So as you can see, our recommended resolution is over here on the right-hand side. So that this is actually on our Tour Builder Media Guidelines. So when you access our help site, you would just search this term right down here, Tour Builder Media Guidelines, and that will give you all the recommended media information. And this here is for panos only. So that is the recommended resolution, and then the max resolution right there. So that is why I have this here for you. So really all you'd have to pay attention to on this slide is these bolded areas in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay. Now, moving on to the fun stuff. These are all the different camera options that we do recommend. We recommend these because of their ease of use, their quality, their ability to take incredible panoramic imagery along with 360 video. And one of the beautiful things is all of them are mountable to drones. So you can capture that very incredible panoramic scenery or even flying scenery, right? Pros and cons of having people on campus or not is, if you have people on campus, you can have a video showing the busyness and the life of it. But if there isn't people on campus, that is a great opportunity to have some really incredible flying sequences, maybe even down at person level. So, get creative with this type of information. You really are creating an experience with a 360 tour. So you can see in the double starred area below, we are not paid by any camera company to market any of these at all. These are just suggestions that are solely based on the knowledge that we have for our platform requirements and along with the spec performance and reviews. So you can see the prices here for the Insta360 ONE X2, the GoPro Max, the Insta360 ONE R, and the Theta Z. So it is up to you guys, of course, to go ahead and review and find out what camera is best for you. Now, at the end of this webinar, I do have that reference sheet that will have those links for you there. There are YouTube videos that you can go check out that have tons of incredible information to help you make the best decision for you and your campus and what type of experience you want to create. All right, so moving on from there. A couple things that you should think about before and during a shoot. Of course, you obviously want to think about what kind of an experience you want to give. Is it just internal shots? Is it just external shot or external shots? Is it both? Because lighting is a big deal. So along with that, there is obviously the flying aspects too with the drones. So think about what kind of experience you want to give. And where I have the bullet point of quality over quantity, that basically means that you don't need to have, like, if you have a large, wide open space, you don't need to take three panoramic images of that space. You can utilize the static imagery for that. You can utilize the video aspect of that with your advanced options, with hotspots as well, so you can really point out other areas and actually get better quality imagery with some stills as well, because distance is a factor when it comes into panoramic imagery, and we'll get to that towards the bottom. One other thing to think about as well: what other departments that could or should be involved in this? Because of your campus, there's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different reasons why people come to your school, of course. So do we get athletics involved? Do we get theater involved? What other departments should be involved? Should facilities be involved? Maybe they want to have something highlighted with some new building that's coming into the area. So just make sure to get everybody into the know, so you guys can create the ultimate experience for your prospective students and your users, of course. To the lighting side of things, inside and outside obviously have different lighting. The beautiful part about having your own camera is you can capture those really incredible sunny days, sunset landscapes, and things like that. And inside, of course, has your different lighting as well. So some of it is that bright white, some of it is that yellow, and that is all about creating that type of an experience as well. Thinking about that lighting, where those are going to be within the tour. And of course, you can utilize Photoshop to change some of these images as well, to beautify them, as we like to call it here. If you do not have somebody that is fluent in Photoshop, we do have pro services that you can utilize with us as well. So you can reach out to your client success manager about that, and they can get you more information. Now, the awareness of the surroundings. If there are going to be people in your shot when you're taking these uh, uh, pano shots, some of these cameras are really good, where they're really fast, where they're not going to give what's called ghost imagery. And that's basically what happens when somebody goes walking past while you're taking this pano, and all of a sudden now it's just this ghost looking image walking through. That's extremely hard to get out of Photoshop. So if you are going to be having people in it, I do recommend doing a staged piece. So they can just hold their spot for 5 seconds. You take the photo with your mobile phone, and it's done. Um, so just keep that in mind. The space side of things, you're going to want to have whatever it is that you really want to make most prominent in the pano, the closest piece within the panoramic image, because distance equals lower quality. The further away you are from a subject, the lower the quality is going to be. So you don't necessarily have to have everything centered. It doesn't need to be in the center of everything. In a stadium, that makes sense. The middle of the basketball floor makes sense. But when you're talking about, like a theater type setting, maybe you want to have it center stage, because who cares about empty seats? People want to see what that stage looks like. Or a certain aspect of an outdoor area. You don't want it in the middle of the grassy field. Maybe you want to get it a little bit closer to a certain subject or area. And then, of course, tripod placement. Just something to think about, because with stitching, that's what happens with these cameras. They will automatically do the stitching for you, versus like a DSLR, where you have to put all 12 images into one giant photosphere. You're going to want to have the camera placed over something generic, like glass or grass or concrete. If you try to put it over a logo or some tiles, it could jumble up the picture a little bit. So just a little insight on that. And of course, if you have any kind of questions, please do put them in the Q&A, and we are happy to help answer those to the best of our knowledge. And if we can't get you the answer right then and there, we will, of course, will touch base back with you again. All right, so moving on, the did you know aspect, that our 360 tour provides these incredible features to create powerful and engaging user experiences. So as you see on the right-hand side, we have different types of settings within the 360 tour. So the pano settings alone, you can create your own default view. So you can have it at whatever tilt and whatever direction you want the user to first and foremost see that image. There's also the auto rotate feature, which is a beautiful thing to have on when you, of course, have your hotspots in there. Or, of course, it's a beautiful area that you want to make sure that people, take a look around. But if it is something along the lines of just like a building with a giant parking lot behind and there's nothing else for them to see, maybe you don't want to have auto rotate on. And of course, there's the north view as well. This will all be a part of the demo aspect of this. I will show you all of these here very soon. The hotspots, of course, gives you the ability to add links, text, images, the very important audio, and then, of course, video, which I do have in parentheses there. YouTube does have the ability to upload 360 video. So, in essence, if you have a stop that is a 360 video stop, you can also have a hotspot that has a 360 video within it as well. So, our parameters around 360 video is about 10 seconds, okay, because they're very large files. So with that said, if you wanted to create more like a 1 minute experience, then of course you could upload that to YouTube and throw it in as a hotspot. And of course, have your little audio button in there too, talking about it to make sure people see it. And of course, the top bar buttons within inside of the tours, you can link out to any URL, including interactive map experiences. So, one thing at the bottom that I really want you to make sure that you do is to make sure that you name your media files before uploading them to the media library or a tour stop. Why? Because you do not want a file in there named QPXL underscore 3TYZ. You want it to be named what you are going to be placing it in, because it's going to help you to be able to search for it when you are inside of the media library. All right. So, with that said, we will jump into the demo aspect of this webinar. So, as you can see here, I have our 360 Tour Builder CMS open here, and I have it opened up to the tour stops. So, let me go ahead and just jump right into the media library so you can see. As I jump in, you can see that these are now named. And of course, that's why I said name it, because then you can easily search for it. Because if you have a bunch of imagery in here, you don't want to search for, of course, all of those weird names and numbers that photo files do end up creating. When you are in the tour stop, of course, if you are creating a new stop, you will of course get this view right here. And this is where, of course, you're going to add your panorama, or you are going to add your 360 video. With that said, if you already have imagery in there, then you will see the panorama settings here and the hotspots manager there. When you go ahead and click on that panorama setting, this is where you're going to have your different settings right here for you. So if you want to edit the name or give it alternative text in the media library, you can go in here, and inside of the media library, you can give alt text to this for ADA compliancy. If you want to update the default view, all you need to do is move it around. So as you can see, once I move that panel around, it will automatically give that as an option now. So I go ahead and click that, and that is now my default view. Of course, you can set the north orientation if you'd like, but not necessary, of course, because you want to give somebody an experience. But if the north experience is what you want to give, then go right ahead and do it. And then, of course, the auto rotate is here. You can toggle it on. When it's switched to the right there, it's turned on. When it's switched to the left, it's turned off. And then, of course, it will auto rotate for you and your users when they're looking at that image. With that said, the hotspots manager. Oh, look at that. It's a reminder that I need to save, because I did what? I changed the orientation of the panel. But now I am in the hotspots manager here, and you can see all the hotspots that are currently in here. And the one that I wanted to speak to is, of course, video, because we want to be able to add 360 video to our hotspots as well. So when you're in here and it's creating for the first time, of course, you're not going to see any of these, but you'll go ahead and click on Add Hotspot nonetheless. And this is, of course, where you're going to name it and set the position. You'll see the little circle there. You can move it to whatever position you want to. Once you have it positioned, you're going to name it. You can decide if you want to have a label or not. The label is, of course, going to be the title of the hotspot. And then I do recommend changing the color theme if you're going to be having it in lighter areas. So, for instance, if I want to face the sun over here, I'm not going to want to have it light. I'm going to want to change it to dark, just so it has that contrast and easy to find. And obviously, you can see the difference here. This is the light, this is a dark. And then, of course, we will just go ahead and click on video. And it's as simple as this. After you have your YouTube video uploaded, or if you already have YouTube videos that you want to utilize, you just copy and paste that share URL right here and click add video. Of course, you can select right from the media library as well. So very, very simple stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty short call for all of you here today. And of course, if you have any kind of questions, please do throw them up into the Q&A section, as we will be moving on to that here right now. So as you can see here, these are the camera review links, and I really do recommend that you go and check out these videos. If you take a look right here, you can actually go to our help site and just go ahead and search DIY taking 360 pano and 360 video recommendation help article. That is where you're going to find these two links right here, just so we don't have to copy and paste, and you can just go ahead and click on them. This all camera overview is going to give you a review of pretty much all the 360 cameras that are out there. With that said, that can be overwhelming and time consuming. And the person that generated the video did a really great job by putting timestamps in those areas. So, or underneath the description of the video, so you can actually just go ahead and look at whatever cameras you want to look at. The other link that I had provided for you here is a comparison, which is a side by side by side by side by side, as you can see, with the Insta360 One X2, the One X, which is the older version of the X2. So you probably won't really need to look at that one. The One R versus the GoPro Max, and then the Hero 9. There are different types of mods that can be added to some of these as well. So, and you'll learn all about that. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you here today. We can take a look to see if we have any questions here. And David, do we have any fun questions in the question links or the question area?
We do. We've got two fun questions. The first one is, I'm proficient in Photoshop, but I've never tried to edit a 360 photo. Do you have any tips or resources?
You know, that's a really great question,
Hmm.
Annalise. We can actually get our production team to throw together some information for you. I personally don't know, because we're not a part of the whole production process, of course, but a very good question. And we'll definitely reach out to our production team to get some answers for you.
And then we've got a second question. If you link out to a YouTube video, can you link back to the tour after the video is done, or do you just spawn the video in an outside window?
Oh, very great question, Dave. Let's go ahead and bounce back to the tour experience here. So when you are inside of a tour stop, you actually will watch that video within the tour itself. So it's not going to play in world. When you actually click play, what it will do is it will just become a full screen video. So it's not actually bouncing you out to YouTube. It's keeping you in there. Now, if the user does go ahead and click on YouTube, which they probably won't, but if they do, it will take them out, but it will open into a new tab. So if you see that, I just clicked on it and it opened up into a new tab for me. So hope that answers your question.
And also, Dave, too, jumping off what Jason was saying, if you didn't want the experience of like the suggested videos afterwards as well, you could switch to Vimeo, and they have settings within there that would allow you to not have that suggested video to bounce outside of like the experience itself.
Yeah, great add on, David.
Sweet. And then we got the last one with Reggie here is, what level of account do you have to be subscribed to in order to be able to access a 360 tour like this?
Good question, Reggie. So there's a basic package which gives you the ability to add, 360 panos and static imagery and all of that, of course. Now, if you wanted to have these more advanced features like hotspots and forms and 360 video, that is going to be a part of our advanced tour package. So basic gives you everything that you see in front of you here outside of the hotspots and the 360 video ability. And then, of course, this forms tab up here. So if you do have any further questions in relation to the difference between pricing or anything like that, that's also going to come down to how many tour stops you actually want to have, because our tours are not sold in tours. They are sold in tour stops. So going to mine, this is just a little one that I have created here for demoing purposes. You can see that I have multiple tours in here. It's all related on the stops. So you can have 20 or 30 stops and have those 20 or 30 stops allocated to any tours you want. So example, 20 tour stops, I can have 2 tours of 5, and I can have 1 of 10, or I can have 4 of 5. It's all up to you. So feel free to reach out to your client success manager, and they can assist you with more precise pricing for that. Okay.
And it looks like that, we got one more question. How does the CMS permissions work alongside with the tours package? Can you describe how those are separate?
The CMS in relation to, I'm guessing,
I
the
get it map
interactive
for,
map.
I'd guess map versus tour, if they're one or different, which is a great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, absolutely, Morgan. So what that is the interactive map is a completely separate CMS. Okay. The tour builder is its own CMS as well. So there is going to be different logins for that. I will let everybody know that there is only currently the ability to have one login for the tour builder account currently. We are going to be working towards having multiple logins, but right now it would just be one username, one password. But one thing I do want to say along with that is your 360 tour and your interactive map can work together. As I spoke to before with the top bar buttons, you can actually associate them with one another. So in your map, interactive map experience, you can have a top bar button, or it can be in your tours tab as well that takes people to this experience. But also you can have top bar buttons that take people to your interactive map, or you can have hotspots that take people to a specific location with inside of your interactive map based upon the tour that they're looking at. So you would utilize the global share button for that type of an experience. And if you want to learn any more about that, you can also, of course, reach out to your client success manager, and we can show you how to create those incredibly powerful and unique user experiences. Okay. Wonderful. Great questions, everybody.